Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Victoria's lending a hand to some first-time home buyers. The number of oil and gas drilling rigs in Texas and the USA dropped in 2023. And we show you the first baby born at Citizens Medical Center in 2024.
It cooled down, the winds are blowing, and we're going to see our first showers of the year coming very soon. We'll talk all about it, but first, here's Zach.
And there's only one game left in the NFL regular season, but the Cowboys and Texans have a whole lot to play for. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. Police near Beaumont are investigating the shooting deaths of 4 people at a home there. When officers arrived, they found 4 people dead inside this home in Orange on the city's east side. Authorities say all 4 people appear to have been fatally shot. Police say the deaths are being investigated as homicides. Officials have not released any names of the victims. Over the weekend, authorities responded to a fire in a rear shed at 517 Breitling Lane in Wharton. The body of 67-year-old Erasmo Don Juan was found inside the fully involved shed. State Fire Marshal investigators said the death was likely due to use of a space heater inside the shed. The U.S. Coast Guard seized more than 450 pounds of illegally caught fish from 2 boats in Texas waters. Officials took the fish as well as long line gear and gill nets from 2 boats off the Texas coast. 9 fishermen were taken into custody and they were transferred to U.S. Customs and Border Protection for repatriation. Just weeks ago, officials intercepted over 2,600 pounds of illegally caught red snapper from 5 crews with 16 fishermen from Mexico. Wharton County Sheriff's deputies took 22-year-old Josh Garza of El Campo into custody. Garza faces 6 charges, including burglary of a habitation and theft of a firearm. Garza's in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $83,750 bond. El Campo police arrested 26-year-old Abriana Cordoza. She faces 7 charges, including assault of a public servant. Cardoza is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $99,000 bond. Victoria is lending a hand to first-time home buyers. 25 News Now reporter Darius McCormick is in studio with more on this new program. The city has already helped one family get a home, right, Darius?
That's right, Don. The City of Victoria's Community Development Block Grant helped a single mother of 4 achieve home ownership. Now, Don, they plan to do the same for a few more families. The CDBG program will offer funds to 3 more families. Each family will receive $5,000 for down payments and closing costs. To qualify, the family's household income must be under 80% of Victoria's median. They must be able to secure a mortgage with payments less than 33% of their monthly income. Applications are at victoriatx.gov. You can reach out to Zachary Wendell at 361-485-3375 for more details on the application. Don, the City of Victoria is also working with nonprofits like Midcoast Family Services to make this happen for those 3 lucky families. Back to you.
Darius, thank you. And here is the first baby born at Citizens Medical Center in Victoria in 2024. It's Jocelyn Terrazas. The parents are Amanda and Miguel Terrazas. You see the proud mama right there. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. How successful have you been in keeping your past New Year's resolutions? Very successful, somewhat successful, not very successful, or not successful at all. And right now, leading the voting right now is not successful at all at 56%. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. 2023 was the hottest year on record in Austin. KVUE reports the final average temperature for the year in Austin was 72.2 degrees, which is a 1/10 of a degree warmer than the previous hottest year of 2017. Austin shattered its record for most consecutive days at or above 100 degrees with 45. 2023, though, ranked as only the 34th driest year in Austin, with a total of 26.8 inches of rainfall. Now let's take a first look at your forecast. In for First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis, here's meteorologist Howie Gordon. Well, Howie, we're not going to set any kind of heat records today with all the cloud cover, and the wind picked up a bit too.
No, you're right, Don. We're not in any record chartered waters, if you will. We cooled down. We're not going to set a record low either, though. But that boundary came through, and now we're cooled down. We're not going to drop into the 30s, though. Maybe later in the week that's a possibility, because we were in the 30s several times last week. We'll stay on the warmer side overnight. We have cloud cover now and moisture moving back into the area. But we're also looking at some winds that are kicking up. We'll see winds in that 15, 20, 25, even 30 mile per hour area. This evening, we'll drop down into the 50s. Overnight, 54 degrees, not too bad. But rain is around the corner, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a bit, Don.
Howie, thank you. The number of rigs drilling for oil and natural gas across the United States dropped in 2023. Baker Hughes told the San Antonio Express News that 622 rigs were at work. That 20% dip marked the first annual decline since 2020. Oil production hit a monthly record high in August, and daily production has been at an all-time high of more than 13 million barrels per day since early October. Texas remained the biggest driller. Eagle Ford Shale finished the year with 53 rigs working. That's down 18 from a year ago. A Houston Methodist Hospital nurse is accused of stealing drugs, including fentanyl, and swapping vials and syringes with saline.
We tried knocking several times, but nobody came to the door. 25-year-old Alexis McNeely facing 3 counts of diversion of a controlled substance. Court records are saying McNeely repeatedly stole drugs from the hospital by swapping out syringes and vials, carrying hydromorphone and fentanyl from a vending machine used to dispense medicine for hospital staff. Upon further investigation, those records went on to say and allege that McNeely drew up and replaced those vials and syringes with normal saline solution and then placed the tampered vials and syringes back into the automated dispensing machine. The medicine, back in circulation, then had the potential to be administered by other medical professionals to patients unaware that the medicine had been tampered with. There's also allegations in those court documents that include McNeely possibly injecting herself in the hand with a fentanyl syringe before returning to work. When confronted about the video evidence, court documents say McNeely admitted to, quote, gaining access to the drugs, but said she just threw them away. We reached out to Houston Methodist about the allegations and obtained this statement. They said, quote, this employee's conduct was unacceptable and never tolerated at Houston Methodist. The employee was fired immediately and law enforcement was notified. We have extensive safeguards in place to protect our patients.
The Victoria mayoral election is right around the corner. Current Mayor Jeff Bouknight recently announced his intention to run for a state congressional seat, a decision which has spurred a special mayoral election. Throwing their names into the hat, current City Councilwoman Josephine Solis, community leader and entrepreneur Carissa Winters, current City Councilman and local attorney Dwayne Crocker, project manager Peter Brown, Technical Director and Victoria native Jacob Sauceda, and business owner Bob Constantine. That mayoral election is set for February 3rd. The last day to register to vote is this Thursday, January 4th. Here are some more important dates to keep in mind for this special mayoral election. The first day for in-person early voting is January 17th. The last day to receive an application for ballot by mail is January 23rd. The last day for early voting is January 30th, and once again, the election is set for Saturday, February 3rd. Speaking of the election, to learn more about mayoral candidate Josephine Solis, you're invited to a meet and greet set for Thursday, January 11th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Garden House Coffee and Espresso Bar located at 1915 East Red River Street. One man in San Antonio is trying to help the migrant crisis. He's opened his Airbnb to over 40 migrants needing a roof over their heads.
This house.
Santiago Rodriguez.
I'm from Mexico City, but I grew up in San Antonio.
Car salesman by trade, humanitarian at heart.
There's a lot of kids. We don't want nobody to get sick. So
the father of 3 transformed this Airbnb alongside his wife into a makeshift shelter where they welcomed more than 40 migrants over the past 2 weeks. They're men, women, and children who've struggled on the streets just outside the overwhelmed Migrant Resource Center.
There kind of blankets, all these people with using cartons to cover themselves.
Rodriguez says he's spent thousands of dollars on all sorts of goods to ensure these families are able to live comfortably while they figure out next steps in their journeys across the U.S.
Because there's a lot of kids, a lot of milk, a lot of eggs, toilet paper, soap. Everything is being bought by me. Everything.
Desperation is apparent outside the Catholic Charities-run shelter as dozens of migrants pack the nearby parking lot in search of food and warm clothing.
To feed over 1,000 people every day, how much money is spent? A tons of money.
A Catholic Charities spokesman tells us they continue to see an influx of migrants, some arriving without proper federally approved documentation, which is required to receive services. The representative adds other migrants refuse to wait in line for the intake process, leading to many sleeping on the streets. As for Rodriguez, his mission has only just begun.
God is doing this until winter is gone. I cannot help everybody. I tried the best I can.
Rodriguez said he is willing to accept donations from the San Antonio community to help keep his humanitarian mission going. There was no jackpot winner in Saturday night's Powerball drawing. The prize has grown to an estimated $810 million. The next drawing is tonight. The Texas Lottery reports a $2 million ticket was sold in Tomball before Saturday night's drawing. The estimated cash value for tonight's drawing is $408 million. There have been 34 consecutive Powerball drawings without a jackpot winner. The last prize of 2023 was the fourth jackpot to exceed more than $500 million just last year. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6. Respiratory illnesses are on the rise as 2024 begins. Also ahead, the high surf flooding in California is over. The cleanup is now underway. The CDC is warning respiratory illnesses are on the rise. The week before Christmas, more than 29,000 people were hospitalized with COVID-19. Another 15,000 were admitted for the flu and thousands more with RSV. COVID-19 hospitalizations jumped 17% in 1 week. RSV is slowing in some parts of the country, but is still showing elevated hospitalization rates. One reason respiratory illnesses are up may be vaccination uptake is low this season. Some powdered baby formula is being pulled from the shelves due to contamination issues. The FDA warns consumers of possible bacterial contamination in Reckitt Mead Johnson's Nutramigen hypoallergenic powdered infant formula products. Manufacturers voluntarily recalled more than 675,000 cans of the formula. That was after the formula tested positive for bacteria, which can cause rare but potentially deadly infections in newborns. The FDA says that no illnesses have been reported so far. The weather is giving a break to some parts of California. The cleanup continues after high surf flooding, especially in Santa Cruz County.
The street outside was a river.
Thursday's extremely high tides and swells didn't spare
anyone along the Capitola waterfront and beyond, bringing with it a whole lot of water, logs and sand, making it virtually impossible to see where the road ends and the beach begins.
When nature gets to this magnitude, there's nothing really you can, you don't know which way it's coming from, how much intensity is involved. I hate to say it, sometimes there's not much you can do.
While firefighters and first responders welcomed the break Friday, they were aware it was only brief, just enough time to dry out, clear out the sand and debris, and prepare for more by nightfall.
It's pouring down with rain, so I'm stepping out in the rain. You see the bit behind me?
Hewitt says his restaurant, Britannia Arms, is about 50 feet from the Esplanade, enough to spare him the major damage compared to those closer to the water. He says sandbags paid off this time, but with roads closed through Capitola Village, his business is still taking a hit.
It's never going to be packed. People walking around bar to bar, shopping, enjoying themselves in a good mood. But it is what it is.
Firefighters still not tallying up the damage this time around.
Kind of wait until it all passes because we're not done yet.
As this paradise braces for a possible third beating, the wharf still scarred from January's bomb cyclone.
We're going to finish 2023 the way we started it, in the storms and the bad weather. 2024 is going to be great.
2024 is going to see its first rainfall here in the Crossroads coming very soon, and we'll talk about that straight ahead. Happy New Year, everyone. Okay, so very much on the warm side yesterday. Now cloudy and cooler as that boundary came through with that cooler air. Winds have picked up. Those should be a little breezy through Wednesday with maybe some 25, 30 mile per hour gusts. And then we could have some rain as early as tomorrow for Tuesday. So our first showers of the new year just coming 2 days in to 2024. So we topped out at 60 degrees, a little bit below average, again, after being in the mid to upper 70s just yesterday. Well, back at, I was talking with Don earlier, actually 86 back in 2022. I thought it was 82, 83. Don was right. He's got a keen, sharp sense and direction and eyes and everything else. So 86 back in 2022, very much a beach day. All right, future temperatures. So we're on the warmer side, but we cool down, but we're not dropping overnight into the 30s as we experienced several of those days just last week. But later in the week, we could start to see those temperatures again dropping down into the 30s. Okay, so our winds have picked up. That boundary pushed through the area. So as that boundary pushes through, you're seeing a rush of that cool, dry, sinking air out of the north. And yes, we can see winds elevating to 25, 30, maybe even gusting to about 35 miles per hour. So moisture levels were starting to increase. That boundary pushed through, but moisture now is going to start returning from the Gulf and from other areas out west. There'll be some storms pushing our way. We're going to see some showers for today is Monday, the 1st. Tomorrow is Tuesday, the 2nd. We're going to see showers for tomorrow. All right, here's our latest boundary pushing through the area. Cleared us out, dried us off. But we're going to see a warm front start to push in. That's going to bring more moisture into the crossroads. And then as that moisture accumulates, storms will push in from the west, pushing through the area. And yes, we could see some showers, maybe some areas of heavy rain. Most of this energy should stay out over the Gulf, but we could see some heavy rain, maybe an inch of rain or so in some spots. If it comes down very exponential, and hey, we might have some areas of flash flooding. We'll talk more about that. We'll continue to evaluate that. These boundaries will push through. High pressure moving for about a day or so, but then what happens, more storms are going to push in from out west, and we can see some more showers here in the crossroads. But this is what we're looking at. Boundaries and storms push in, looking at some rain. We dry off, then more showers potentially by Friday. Here's our marine forecast. So water-wise, 56, seas occasionally at 6 feet. With these winds the way they are, 25 knots, we could see we're looking at small craft advisory conditions. Again, bays will be on the choppy side. So this evening will be in the 50s. Overnight, dropping down to 54, mostly cloudy skies. And then for tomorrow, I talked about it, we cooled down, winds have picked up, and here we are just a day and a half into tomorrow, a day and a half into the new year. We could see some showers. I got a 60 to maybe even as high as an 80% chance of some rain. So 60 degrees, we have rain, a little on the breezy side. That will be very chilly if you start to take on some of that rain. You get a little wetter out there. The evaporation process off the body will cool you down, and then these winds will blow through you. That'll cool you down even further. All right, here's what we got for the rest of the week. Okay, so an 80% chance or so of showers for Tuesday, January the 2nd. So 60 degrees and rainy. Then high pressure comes in for a day or so. We get some sun and a warm up, but then by Friday, another boundary pushes in with some storms. We get showers. Then we dry off for Saturday, and then for Sunday on my birthday, right around 70, not too bad. But then for Monday, yeah, we got another chance of showers as we warm up with more warm, moist air out of the Gulf. For more weather, news, and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free with any Android and iPhone, and we send it right back to Don.
Thank you, Howie. Happy early birthday, Howie, by the way. All right, Zach Brown's got your sports, and you know, Zach, I think that Cowboys fans are excited about what happens Saturday night, but also probably a little confused.
Yeah, they're excited, but now they've got a chance to win the division, and the Texans have a chance to get into the postseason. I'll have that in sports. We're headed to the final week of the NFL season, and while the Dallas Cowboys have already clinched, they still got a lot to play for. With the Eagles' loss, the Dallas Cowboys can win the NFC East with a win, and that would be huge for Dallas because it would guarantee a home playoff game where they haven't lost in 14 consecutive tries. They would also get the second seed, meaning they would not have to go on the road until the NFC title game, assuming the top-seeded Niners make it there as well. But they have to win first for all of this to be true. They have to beat Washington on the road, where they have struggled this year. For the Texans to get into the playoffs, it's simple. They must win. If they lose, they cannot get in. But here's what can happen. If the Texans beat the Colts, they guarantee the final playoff spot. If the Jags also lose, the Texans will win the AFC South. And if the Bills lose, they can even get the number 6 seed. By the way, that game has been upgraded to a nationally televised game. It will be Saturday, January 6th, right here on KAVU. The New England Patriots took on the Buffalo Bills, and Victoria native Bailey Zappi had the reins for the Pats, and just a tough day at the office for the Zapster. This is going to be pick number 1 right here. It's going to be bad luck off the bounce. Pick number 2 came just minutes later, and the backbreaker. It was a pick 6. That was 3 first-half interceptions, but there was no quit from Bailey. He eventually got a chance to show off his wills and did help get New England right back in this one. He responded very well after some uncharacteristic mistakes. Buffalo does hang on and win 27-21. The El Campo Riceburgs boys got their first district victory of the year, defeating Belleville 64-45. The capper to that game. This half-court shot from Oliver Miles, who just officially signed with Texas Tech for football to play defensive back. Aaron Orsak also totaled 17 points in the game, according to the El Campo Leader News. Another Holiday Hoops tournament last week, and it saw the state-ranked Shiner ladies winning it all. The girls win a perfect 5-0 in their tournament, defeating Yoakum, Sealy, Marion, Smithville, and Johnson City. Riley Vancouver and Morgan Lenahan were presented with all tourney selections. So Born in Cuero, a part of their 1987 state championship team, just led Duke to a bowl victory, and now he's headed to College Station. He will be a running back coach for the Aggies. The presumed top dog in that running back room should be El Campo's Reuben Owens. So Trooper Taylor is from the Crossroads. Lots of players from our area going to Aggie land. So the 12th man certainly hoping a lot of our area guys can get them over the hump as a program. And Don Brubaker, the Texas Longhorns play later tonight, 7:45 to be exact, but the game going on right now. Michigan taking it to Bama 13-10, the third quarter almost over.
Are you surprised on that?
I am a little bit. I thought Bama would at least advance to the championship game. Maybe we get a Texas-Bama rematch. We shall see.
We shall see. Zach, thank you. We're back in a moment. It's helped Americans ring in the new year for over 100 years. It was this morning, the Tournament of Roses Parade. Finally tonight, an estimated 800,000 people turned out in Pasadena, California to be part of an iconic New Year's Day tradition, the Tournament of Roses Parade. Dozens of flower-covered floats and marching bands took part in what is now a 135-year tradition. Now, the floats have to be covered with flowers or natural materials such as leaves, seeds, or bark. The theme of this year's parade is celebrating a world of music, the universal language. And with all those flowers, they could do very well in a hothouse. And it wasn't quite a hothouse in the Crossroads today, but, you know, it's still not as cold as many other places in the U.S. right now.
I would think most people in the country would sign up for our weather, but we got and places up there, you know, hundreds of miles to the north where they're getting snow, cold, and wind chills that are really abominable.
Yes, they are. And that's a heat wave.
I don't know what that word is, dude.
All right, let's take one last look at our weather on that note here. So here's our future tracker. You know what we're getting at here. But yeah, we're going to see our first showers as early as maybe tomorrow afternoon on Tuesday. So 2 days into the new year, and boom, we're getting the showers after staying pretty dry here in the Crossroads. So 50s this evening, that's not too bad. 54, that's where we stay. And tomorrow, ooh, just 60 degrees. But look at that, showers and wind. And looking ahead, hey, it's going to be a rainy week overall, Don.
All right. Thank you, Howie. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.